Hello everyone, welcome back to my team selection video. This is Pras, you're on the FPL Wire, and we are in game week 6 now. It's coming thick and fast, to be honest. I can't wait for the next international break. Just a little bit of a rest, but also that it's very likely that I'll be on Wildcard. So we've done so much of content on whether you should wildcard, what you should think about in the main pod, and then the excellent pod with Harry that Zoff had. They talked about Wildcard 6 in detail. So I'm not going to be spending time here on whether you should be on Wildcard and what a good Wildcard 6 teams looks like. I mean, Harry knows what he's doing, and look at that video, and he talks very nicely about, his dilemmas and his team. So there's no point me doing that again. So if you want Wildcard 6 thoughts, switch over and go back to the thing that Zoff did with Harry yesterday on Thursday. So my team selection, as usual, is going to be what I'm doing this week, what is my path to game week 8, and why it's very likely that I'll play the wildcard in game week 8, and what can change between now and then, because I'll have to make another early transfer next week, and I've made 2 transfers this week if you've listened to the pod. So let's get right into it. This is already Friday. It's after the press conferences. Nobody cares how my week went. I've used the bench boost. It's out of the way. It went reasonably well. Or actually went very well, and now I don't need to worry about bench boost. So this was actually one contributing factor. What I'll say about it is one contributing factor to me not having a lot of FOMO this week looking at people wildcarding, because I'm okay to have a dead spot, right? So if I'm losing, let's say, 0.7 in team value, and somebody has an Anton stack, I just have a dead player there, like somebody who's 4.4. So it's not bothered me that much. Of course, nobody likes to lose team value. Watkins is dropping. I think he's going to drop 0.3. Wirtz is going to drop 0.3. It's not nice. So I'm not going to pretend like team value doesn't matter. It matters, but it doesn't matter enough for me to say I'm going to play the wildcard. Because when you look at my team, I'm actually reasonably confident this week to have a good week. Not that we should say it and jinx it, but I just didn't feel that it was needed. So let's go straight into this week, game week 6. That's what people care about. That's what people are thinking about. There's people on triple captain, free hit, wildcard, lots of chips in play this week. Some are on none, of course. So let's look at this week. So I've shown actually 3 graphics. I'll try to do this more, especially if I do a late team selection, because the numbers that people look at from Rob T, those were posted on Tuesday. Now, markets move, right? So what I've got on the right is this is from Solio. This is from the Solio Live website, where they update the odds, these same odds, every 15 minutes or very regularly anyway. So it's actually interesting to see that the market odds for goals scored have pretty much all gone up. Like Man City has gone up slightly from 2.76 expected goals to 2.8. Spurs has gone up from 2.03 to 2.1. Marginal increases. Chelsea has gone up marginally. Liverpool has gone up as well, actually reasonably substantially. So the big boys who've got good fixtures this week, they've all sort of edged up a little bit as you get closer to the deadline. Then in terms of clean sheet odds, those also, basically people are saying the matchups that we thought are good matchups are good matchups. On Tuesday, they were reasonably good matchups. Now, the closer we're getting to the deadline, the markets are appreciating the fact that these are very, very good matchups. So Man City, over 50% clean sheet odds. That's huge. And then Spurs is the only other team that is over 40% clean sheet odds. They were about 41. It's edged up to 42%. And I think if you're looking at a team with a Spurs defender or a Man City defender, then that's where you can be confident of a clean sheet. I mean, with Spurs, you can never be, but this is the different Spurs. But apart from that, it's about, as usual, defensive contributions. So people are looking at Everton on their wildcard. Makes sense. They're third here. And if you're looking for somebody like a Tarkowski, good option, right? I mean, he could get 2 DEFCONs, a clean sheet, 4 points, appearance points. That's already 8 points. So if he gets any bonus out of it, you're laughing. This is what Senesi had last week. You just get DEFCON, bonus, clean sheet, and that's a 9-10 pointer. So I can understand it. Personally, my views, I have said in the pod, I think Tarkowski is a little expensive. There's enough options below 5 or even at 5 that can match his output, and Everton's fixtures are really just good. The next one, even the one after, you can argue that Crystal Palace could be a good clean sheet fixture, but Sarr is now fit. That's what we've heard today. So personally, I don't think I would have Tarkowski on my wildcard, but I can understand people who are going there. Nottingham Forest, 37% is the fixture, right? I mean, Sunderland have looked good. So if this was a Nuno Nottingham Forest, you would have seen them up at 48%. Now they're down at 37%. So it reflects the fact that this is a different team playing not the same Sunderland we thought in Game Week 1. It's actually really improved and reasonably good team. But 37% is still reasonably good. So again, in this next bucket, if you have an Everton defender, a Nottingham Forest defender, you can go into it hoping more than others that something can happen in terms of clean sheet odds. 37% nowhere guarantees a clean sheet, but it's a good chance. And after that, I'm not even going to go into it. It's all reasonably okay odds. So people starting with Arsenal, they're not expecting a clean sheet this week. If they get it, great. But if not, it's not the end of the world. They're not getting the Arsenal defenders for this week. But this is where I come into it, where if you had a team, or in my case, I have no Arsenal defense, this is not the week to worry about it. Arsenal can keep a clean sheet in any game. But look here, their odds have actually dropped from 33 to 32. Obviously, it's marginal. But what I'm saying is it's not the case that, people are very bullish or the markets are very bullish on Arsenal defense. It is Newcastle. Newcastle have looked, or at least at home, for a very long period of time, are a good team. So that's what I'll say. Nothing much else to say on market odds. Let's go to market goal projection. So this is an interesting one. So this is again from Rob T, and this time, of course, we have the player data by the time I'm podding. You can see this little colorful elite graphics that I've put on this. And what it is I've gone through each of these players and I've made a little bit of a recommendation that if you were on Wildcard, would you pick them? If you're on free hit, would you pick them? So some players are exclusively free hit players. Like look at Richarlison, for example. Look at Isak. There's a reason for that. I think Richarlison is a very good pick for this week. He's got Wolves at home. But then from next week, is Solanke back? What is the situation with them, with Europe? I would not be as confident. So very good free hit pick. Isak is a similar one where if you're on free hit because Ekitike is suspended, he should start. Slot even said that he should be good for 65 minutes, and then it depends with game state. He also said he's not ready for 90, but it depends. He doesn't want to rule him out, but he essentially said Isak's going to start, which he should because Ekitike is not there. So very good free hit punt if you wanted to go there. I wouldn't pick him on wildcard yet. I have a lot of questions on people. He's going to go through a price rise soon because people are excited. Like Liverpool fans are excited. They want to see Isak playing and scoring goals. I get it. But when there's a lot of games thick and fast, remember, they have an away game here. They have another away game in midweek. They have another away game against Chelsea the next weekend. So it's just not the time to jump into him. Watch him for 3 games, and then after the international break, see if he's somebody that you want to get on. Who is another only free hit player? Now, Foden is one here. I'm a little bit... Look, on free hit, he would 100% be in my team. On wildcard, you could go there and say, I'm going to do this for 2 weeks and 3 weeks and I can keep that slot for Palmer. So I can understand if you wanted to go through that structure. But in a world where Mamouche is nearly back, Cherki is nearly back, he's not a long-term hold. So I have not put a W next to Foden. I was tempted because he's always a temptation, right? If he's getting minutes, he's got a high ceiling. He plays very close to Haaland. And Pep loves him. He's in the love phase. Pep grows in and out of love with Foden, and he's in the I love Foden phase. So that's the time you want to get him. So if I was on wildcard, I don't know if I'll be tempted. Some people are carrying like 3 free transfers. You guys should really think about Foden actually for 2-3 weeks, and then you take it from there. But there is upside there in 2 weeks. So that's what I'll say on him. But apart from that, there are then certain picks that I recommend only on wildcard. So Gyökeres is one, easy one. Where this week, 0.37, that's lower than Calvert-Lewin, man. Like, you don't want Gyökeres this week. You will have him on wildcard because you want him long-term. So there's a W next to him. Calvert-Lewin, trigger warning alert. Like, I'm not suggesting that you pick Calvert-Lewin, but I'm saying if your structure needs it, if let's say, you want a heavier midfield, if you want, instead of Gyökeres, go Calvert-Lewin and get Saka. So if your beliefs are that Saka is the better pick from Arsenal, then Calvert-Lewin can work on a wildcard, but don't do it. Don't do it to yourself if you don't believe it or you don't want to. Calvert-Lewin is a very, it's a two-taste kind of pick. So if it's not your kind of pick, if you don't like these cheap strikers from promoted teams, don't go there. But don't have that same baggage from Everton because Leeds are a different team. The way they're using him is different. I personally will watch another couple of weeks. This is what I do in most cases. I wait and watch. And if that turns out that he's still reasonable, then why not? Like he's an interesting enabler. Think of him like Stack, right? Like Stack is 5, Calvert-Lewin is 5.5. So people are okay putting stack and go, yeah, no problem. But then when it's Calvert-Lewin, they get trigger warning. Look, I'm not playing Calvert-Lewin. I can't have Calvert-Lewin. Like, this guy is actually, he should score more points than Stack. He won't get defensive contributions, but he will have penalties. At least that's what the Leeds fans I'm talking to are telling me. But enough about Calvert-Lewin. And then João Pedro is another one where I would have him on wildcard, but not necessarily on free hit. You could also have him on free hit. I don't think it's an issue. He could be on penalties, but without Palmer, they have a few injuries in defense as well. Brighton will be not an easy game. So if I'm thinking what my forward line could be on a free hit, I'm thinking I pick Richarlison, who's home to Wolves, instead of a João Pedro. Just a recommendation. If you want to pick him, I think he's very good as well. But apart from that, there's certain picks that are good on a wildcard and good on a free hit. So this is applicable for anyone who's not on either as well. Because if you're not on a wildcard or a free hit, you should be looking to get these players because they're good this week and they're good long term. Right? So Haaland is one. Of course, people are making the Salah to Haaland transfer. Salah himself is one. I have seen many wildcards with a Salah and Haaland type of structure. Trust me, we will need Salah soon. Now, you can be wrong. I can be wrong. And maybe Isak is the one who scores all the goals. Okay, I'll change my opinion. But based on what I know now, we will need Salah soon. So I think you could have him on your wildcard. I've seen some teams that have both Haaland and Salah. Or you could have not him, and then you have a path towards getting him in the future. Both are fine. So I'm not that adamant that you have to have Salah on wildcard. I'm just saying he's a pick that would make both true. As in, you would pick him on a free hit and you'd pick him on a wildcard. Indai is another one. I think Indai is a good pick for the medium term, even though Everton's fixtures after the next two are not amazing, but they're okay. And for what he delivers in terms of defensive contributions, penalties, fairly attacking, it's Everton after all. I think he's a good long-term pick, as well as a pick I would have on free hit because they're playing West Ham, who are terrible at the moment. So another one that if you're on neither, think about him because he can get you some investment on a, people who are on both gets you some instant gratification because you have him on free hit or you would have had him, but they're also a long-term pick. Then look at Xavi Simons. So this is me trusting Zoff, who's done his diligence, and he's telling me his minutes are good and he's looking really good in terms of being the focal point in their attack. So if Zoff likes a player, I like a player. So I think he's a good pick both on free hit and on wildcard. Not many are going there because they're debating between Indai and Xavi Simons. Zoff made the point in the pod with Harry that instead of Stack and Indai, you can easily go Xavi Simons and Dewsbury Hall. So I like him as a longer term option as well as on a free hit. And then Bruno. I don't need to say anything on Bruno. I think he's a good option. So that's it on this slide. Let's go to what is my dilemma, or no longer a dilemma. I have to tell you why I'm triple captaining Erling Haaland. So I said on the pod there were two reasons. Reason number one, it's a good week to triple captain Haaland. And reason number two, a lot of my peers who are on wildcard cannot triple captain Haaland. So I think both are equally important because you're ultimately competing against other people. If you see a window of opportunity to somewhat differentiate, I think you can take it. If the condition number one is true. And in condition number one, you see this table that I've shown at the top. This shows you in the next 10 game weeks or 12 game weeks, who are the biggest upside games. Now, market odds change. I have mentioned this many times. This is not that relic slide. You don't have to collect all of them. We'll talk about relics when I talk about my Wildcard 8 team in the Wildcard 8 team selection. But the idea here is to show you that there are many weeks that are coming. So you don't have to have FOMO on Haaland and say, I want to do it right now. But here's the catch. The other Haaland weeks are Game Week 15 and Game Week 17. Game Week 17 is on 20th of December. So it's very far away. Is he going to be fit? What are his minutes like? Who else is fit in the team? How are Man City functioning? All of that is, happens. The other one is Game Week 15. So 13, 14, 15 happen in a week because 14 is a midweek game. So when midweek games happen in the Premier League, it's very different from midweek games happening for Carabao Cup or for FA Cup even. It's different. Even Champions League, later on, they can rest players because, they might be in a good position or whatever. But 3 Premier League games in a row are tough. And there is, in the past, we've seen in December, there is rotation when this happens. So I'm not saying Haaland is not going to start in game week 15, but what I'm saying is you just don't know with games thick and fast, what is his position, how many minutes, is he getting an early-ish sub because he's had 2 tough games before. So I'm saying, not scaremongering, all I'm saying is for Haaland itself, if you look at the row for Haaland, this looks to be the best game. Now, this I could have not done any of this data and just said he's playing Burnley. There's no other team as bad as Burnley. Just play it. Agreed. So that's also another way of looking at it. The other guy who I would triple captain is Salah. It could be Isak, but this is still for Liverpool, right? So it doesn't matter. You can replace Salah's name with Isak if you really want to. But their best games are in 12, 14, 16. So none of them are... So 12 looks good. To me, 12 actually was a good window. And, he's playing Nottingham Forest at home, which is an Ange team. So if people are looking at triple captaining Salah in Game Week 12, I like it actually. But are you sure you're going to own him? Because a lot of people are on a Haaland structure, not a Salah structure. Are you confident that at that point, either you will sell Haaland to get to a Salah? Because it's not easy, because Haaland has a promoted team in Game Week 13. So it's not that easy what people did this week to do it in Game Week 12 to get Salah. Or you're going to make sure you're going to restructure your team to get to a Salah and then triple captain him. It's not that easy. So Game Week 12 is, for me, an access issue. Like, you may or may not own Salah. Game Week 14 and 16 comes to the same problem that I've told you before, which is that it's that midweek. Game Week 14 is that midweek game. So with all these attackers, I'm just not there. And then Game Week 16 is fairly late, but it's fine. So I think people who are not triple captaining, if you're on a wildcard, if you're on a free hit, there's lots of weeks. That was the one thing I wanted to say here. And the second thing I wanted to say here is, for people who are not, Haaland is fit. Now Pep has confirmed it. Look at the visual on the bottom right. Just play it, right? Because if I don't play it this week, and let's say I reach Game Week 14 to triple captain Salah, what if I think free hit is better in Game Week 14? Because it's a midweek game, I'm expecting some rotation. I'm expecting maybe Arteta says that Gyökeres is not going to play this game. Whatever. So I don't want to leave that, because right now my free hit window is a little bit open and it could actually happen between 12, 13 and 14. I don't want to mess around with it. So long story short, I'll be playing my triple captaincy this week. And if you needed further evidence for people who are not playing triple captaincy, last season, there were about 12 weeks that were better than this week. So you don't need that big of a sofa to hide on. And the reason is two. One is there's just fewer goals, so the markets are not as excited about number of goals per game. And the second thing is teams are better. We don't have a Leicester at home, a Southampton at home this year. So both of these reasons combined suggest that if you don't play your triple captaincy, it's not the end of the world. You will be captaining Haaland. You're losing out on one Haaland. So it's not the end of the world. If you don't want to play it, I will be playing my triple captaincy. And then finally coming to my team. So as I'd mentioned on the pod already, I have made my moves. I did Salah to Ndiaye, and I have done Mateta to Haaland. Could I have done Watkins to Haaland? I could have. But I'm not even going to defend Watkins. Like, after him missing the penalty in the midweek, his confidence is completely shot. Maybe if I knew Sarr was back, I could have thought about it. But you know what? I'm happy with it. I'm okay with it, because it still funds me this move, which next week I can do Wirtz to Saka. So in Game Week 7, I will be in a position where I have pretty much a front seven that I'm not jealous of anybody else's front seven. Like, I have Saka and Gyökeres playing West Ham at home. I have Haaland and Reinders, which most people will have. Ndiaye is home to Crystal Palace. I've got Bruno home to Sunderland, and I've got Watkins home to Burnley. So my front seven next week is as good as anybody else's. My defense is not as good, because my goalkeeper is not Raya. I would love to have Raya next week, who's home to West Ham. And I don't have a Gabriel or whatever who could score a header against West Ham. But then if I look at my defenders, Richards away to Everton, DEFCON potential, clean sheet potential. Senesi, home to Fulham, DEFCON potential, clean sheet potential. Van der Ven, Leeds away. Leeds have been actually pretty goal shy. So I don't mind my defenders. But of course, here I would prefer, if I was in a free hit, I would not have these guys. I would probably have one of an Arsenal defender. So that's where we are. That's why I did the move. That's why I got Ndiaye, not Semenyo, because I needed that 1.6 million to take Wirtz right up to Saka. Now, under what condition will I do this move? It's exact money, right? So I will try my best to wait and see Saka play. Wirtz has just dropped yesterday, so I hope he doesn't drop. And if he doesn't drop, then I'll wait until Sunday. Of course, if he plays really well, then maybe he doesn't drop at all. But then Saka could be rising because he's playing West Ham. So in either scenarios, I'll have to go early. And the only way I won't go early is Wirtz if he looks incredible and if he looks really good. I know it's a scenario that is remote, but I have to tell you guys about it so that I'm not accused of changing my mind. So if Wirtz looks really good, because we have not actually seen a lot of minutes Wirtz play alongside Isak, who I think will be better for him and for Salah. Maybe it's just it's my hope, but I think that's possible. And also have changed my mind on Anderson versus Wirtz this week for that particular reason, where I think because Ekitike is out, Isak can't play 90 minutes. I think Wirtz's minutes just shoot up. Because what happens when Isak has to go off on the 65th minute? Maybe Gakpo goes up top. Maybe Wirtz plays false 9. They do something where that first substitution won't be Wirtz coming off. So if I'm getting 90 minutes, I take Wirtz's 90 minutes over Anderson playing Sunderland, even though Anderson is good. So unfortunately, for those of you hoping that I will bench a Wirtz Hall, I will be playing him and he'll be blanking. I don't have anything to say on Watkins. Gyökeres, I'm not expecting too much, but I'm still playing those strikers ahead of Anderson, right? I mean, it is what it is, and everybody else looks fairly decent for me. Anderson should be good for clean sheets because Aston Villa are really bad. Van de Ven, you saw the clean sheet odds. Senesi is just the greatest defender of all time. For every single week, he gets DEFCON. So team looks fine. Maybe Sunderland at home is a good fixture for Forest. We'll see. We'll see if Sells keeps a clean sheet. But that's me, really, this week. Nothing much more to add. I'll keep it short or short-ish compared to my other team selection videos. Just last thing on my Game Week 7. So if I kept Wirtz, for whatever reason I decided to keep Wirtz, then my transfer will be Anderson to an Arsenal defender. Because I will then, not play Richards, for example, and I will play that Gabriel or whatever. Can I afford Gabriel? As it stands, but Gabriel will rise. So maybe Saliba, or I could do Sells to Raya. But that would seem like a very, very, very unnecessary thing, right? Because Raya can max get 6 and Sells could get 3, and that's fine. Or I could even play Dubravka, actually. I didn't think of that. Aston Villa are terrible, remember. So I'm unlikely to do it, but these are the 3 things I'll do. An Arsenal player will definitely come in. 80% is going to be Saka. 15% it could be an Arsenal defender like Gabriel, or let's say Calafiori is rested midweek. Then he could be one that comes in. And 5% it could be Raya. All right, have a good week. Good luck to especially my Haaland triple captainers. Last season, I felt a little shortchanged. I triple captain Haaland in a similar fixture, home to Southampton, game week 9. He scored in the first 5 minutes and I was in dreamland. Nothing else happened. But hopefully he does better this week. Good luck to everybody, and I will see you next week.